It's my feel-good breakfast show.
Welcome back to Feel Good Breakfast Show. Expresso here on S3, and a very, very important saga to touch on your Feel Good Breakfast Show. Now, the saga of the tragic Enyobeni Tavern disaster continues as the two owners step back into court to plead their case as the parents of the 21 deceased teenagers seek justice, and some teens being as young as 13 years old. To discuss recent developments, we are joined by journalist Duba Siboliso. Duba, welcome.
Thank you for having me, Kyle.
No, thank you so much for really helping us with this particular case. It's been one that's had massive public interest, but more importantly, there's been so many question marks, because in the beginning, we were fed as the media that this was an accident, suffocation, gas tanks. A lot of those things were mentioned. But now we are leaning toward the fact that these kids could have been poisoned as another option, and that seems to be the one that seems to be taking most of the premise at the moment. So tell me something about the debacle at the moment. You know, where are we sitting with regard to a suffocation case for these teenagers having passed away or them being poisoned? Where are we with understanding that?
Okay, first of all, Kyle, let's look at this. The case has been dragging for a while now.
It has.
You know, I mean, next month, it's the 26th of June.
Yeah.
Ever since the tragic happened. But one thing that we have to mention is that there were, the reports or alleged reports that the establishment was selling, fake alcohol brands, you know, and that on its own,
yeah,
it is the duty of the Eastern Cape Gambling
yes,
Board to make sure that such incidents do not happen,
yeah,
you know, in that province. But one thing that we have to mention is the fact that there are loopholes, in these cases. The owners, they do not want to account. There are witnesses that are coming forward. Even though the witnesses are coming forward, I still feel that maybe they might be scared to come out and say more stuff about the owners. Because remember, in that area in Scenery Park, the owners are well known there, and most of the people are friends with the owners.
Yes.
But one thing that sparked a lot of debate is when the owner of the establishment, Siya Kangela and Devu, posted a screenshot on Twitter with the caption that this stupid case. But you cannot, you cannot post such things, where people
yes,
are still debating about it. More people still want answer around this case. But the case has been dragging. A lot of witnesses are expected to
yeah,
come forward in this case because no one is willing to account for.
So evidence-wise, what do they have at the moment to support this?
The first report said the children were poisoned. But another report that came, the second report, said the children were suffocated. But the parents of those children, they are of the belief that those children, maybe they must have drank these fake brand alcohol that are being allegedly sold on that establishment. And I had an opportunity to speak on one of the children, but he doesn't want to come out. She said to me, there were a lot of people, during that event.
Yes.
As much as there were a lot of people in that event, yes, there was a suffocation, but no one knows what happens because she said when they woke up, when they look at things, all the children were lying down and some of them were confirmed dead during that period. And also some of the, the information that comes out is that the owner, the manager, Siya Kangela, was also there when the incident took place.
All right.
And then he's well aware of the circulating post about the pens down event that was about to happen in his establishment. But for now, no one wants to come out and say what is the cause because the report that say the children died because of suffocation, the parents are not buying it.
So let's look at the fact that this owner now is saying that there was a witch hunt. There was a lot of people wanted to tarnish the reputation of the tavern for their personal gain, and this is all being directed in a certain way. So essentially the owner is saying that it was an accident, but people are making it more incriminating than it should actually be. What are your thoughts on that particular thing, especially after that, I think, very, very poor bit of, sort of initiative with regard to social media and posting this case, So what are your thoughts on that?
Look, when an accused is accused of something, he or she will never come out and say that I am guilty of on the alleged reports. But in this case, one thing I find is that the two owners, the Siya Kangela and his wife, there's some sort of arrogance to run this case because for the fact that you are saying that you are not going to apologize and there are people who are going to tarnish your name, I think that's, for me, it doesn't make any sense, because you see the children died, you have to take accountability. At the same time, you have to abide the law. Now, let's look at this thing. He tried to open another establishment while the case was ongoing. He
did?
So yes, he did. Yes, he did. As much as he might not confirm those reports, there are people who saw him busy with another establishment after the incident has happened. Remember, I said to you earlier in this conversation, he posted a picture and said, "This stupid case," while people are still debating about it. So right now, as it stands, Kyle, the case is going to drag and more witnesses are going to come about the owners. Remember,
Absolutely.
one of the witnesses during the case course, he said, "The guy was flirting with me. We were busy on the line. I did not notice that actually this guy is the manager or the owner of the establishment. I only saw him during the news when he was interviewed that actually the guy whom I was communicating with to earlier, on that day, is actually the owner, Siyakangela Ndevu." So I think for the owners, not wanting to take, to take the responsibility for their sins, I think for me, it doesn't make any sense because it's really sad for the families who are still wanting more answers. And also, there are people like the Church Councils of South Africa. They still want answers as well. And Amnesty International South Africa came in and said, "We want an initial report, not these two reports that have been previously reported, because they are not saying anything, to the families who have lost these children."
Duba, there are a lot of pieces of evidence that you gave us and you alluded to as well. So many different things. There's a case coming up on the 19th of July, I believe, to make sure that this is resolved. But thank you for keeping us up to date. If you don't mind making yourself available as it progresses, we'd love to chat to you again, Duba.
Look, I don't want to say it is going to get interesting, but there's still a lot of evidence that is going to come out, and a lot of reports surrounding the shenanigans of the owner as well.
Absolutely. Well, we hope that this particular case does bring about understanding and, more importantly, answers for those affected. But Duba, thank you very much for joining us on your Feel Good Breakfast show. We'll be following that case slowly right here on S3.